It's July 2026 and we are just days away from stage 3 of the Gold Coast Light Rail coming to life. A 6.7 kilometre dual track extension right from Pacific Fair all the way down to the bottom of Burleigh. Personally, I am super excited. It makes a stop off at Nobby's Beach where my favourite restaurant on the whole Gold Coast is Frank Jr.'s Pizza. But this new extension got me thinking. Everybody on the coast loves the tram, so why not build more of it? And while we're at it, why not upgrade some of our rail infrastructure as well? Introducing in this video, my idea to fix Gold Coast public transport forever. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you my idea of how I believe it is best to connect to the airport, which is insane that we haven't done yet. Quick couple of notes for those of you who are playing at home. 1. I am not a town planner. I'm not even qualified as an urbanist, or anything in that matter. But I know good public transport when I see it. Second of all, I understand that some people get pretty upset about the changing Gold Coast and, oh, this is what it used to look like when I grew up here. I totally get it. And you will understand that my plan for fixing Gold Coast transport probably creates the least amount of friction possible versus the most benefit. As a result, the business case, if any of these plans were ever to be enacted, probably wouldn't be too strong. But I believe in the long term and in the short term, it would be the best to keep residents happy that have always lived here and also spur on new development to increase the population so that we can have more Gold Coast taxpayer rate money. I'm just kidding. I don't work for the council. I don't care about ratepayer money. I can't really speak to why we want the Gold Coast to grow, but regardless of who you vote for, the Gold Coast is going to increase in population. We might as well do the things that create the best public good, that reduces traffic the most, and gives us options to get to places that we want to get to efficiently and smoothly. Lastly, I don't mean to offend you in this video if you live in one of these areas, but if I'm getting something wrong, tell me in the comments. I love hearing actual locals talk to me about what they think should happen for our beautiful city. The Gold Coast is the best place to live in the world, and I think the fact that more people are moving here means we have to be incredibly intentional about how we allow that to happen so that people still love to live here when inevitably our population doubles over the next 25 years. With all of that said, let's get stuck in with my wish list. First up, extend the light rail from Griffith University to Harbour Town. Oh, but Jordan, this one's already been announced. Yeah, I'm talking about actually building it. At the time of recording, July 2026, the Christopherly LNP government's pretty well liked. And they announced, as part of the most recent state budget, that there would be funding as part of a public-private partnership to extend the tram line from Griffith University to Harbour Town. I love this extension for a few reasons. First of all, heading north on Olsen Avenue, the first stop of the extension will be at Musgrave Avenue, right in front of the proposed 20-odd story residential towers at the Southport Sharks, of which there will be 3, as part of a redevelopment of the Gold Coast's most successful and probably best known grassroots sports club. Moving further north as we head towards Harbour Town, this will be stopping as well at Central Street in Labrador, giving thousands of people access on the western side of Labrador and on the eastern side of Arundel to trams. After stopping at Central Street, it'll make its way over the hill and finally arrive as it becomes Oxley Drive from Olsen in front of Harbour Town Eats at Harbour Town, where it will stop in front of 1,500 apartments that are already there. In addition to that, Harbour Town is one of the busiest shopping centres on the coast. Connecting just this shopping centre alone to the Gold Coast Light Rail network is a slam dunk. Add to that all of the properties on Olsen Avenue are already zoned for denser development. This proposal is an absolute slam dunk, and I'm looking forward to seeing this be built. I'm certainly not going to speak on behalf of any Gold Coast residents in this video, but I will say Olsen Avenue is a 2-lane 60km/h road with a massive median in the middle of it. There's no reason we shouldn't put a tram there. Tram extension from Griffith to Harbour Town, tick. The second item on my wish list, extend the new extension from Harbour Town right the way down Oxley Drive all the way to Hope Island. This particular extension will probably achieve a few things at once, but let's go through it. Firstly, the endpoint is already incredibly dense. Look here in Grant Avenue, where you can see probably a dozen dense mid-rise apartments already in the same cluster. As you extend north from Harbour Town, you'll put a tram stop around Pine Ridge Road, plugging into the density there, closer again to the cluster of shops around Lay Drive. Plug in a tram stop at the fantastic Runaway Bay Sports Supercentre. Around this area as well, there's also a pretty big retirement village, so be pretty convenient. A stop at Hansford Road in Coomberbar, which already has tremendous density with some of the very dense townhome complexes down the back. A stop at Sunbird Avenue in Paradise Point, which, by the way, would probably take cars off the road in Paradise Point if people could get there using light rail. My full-time job is in Paradise Point. I think a tram stop leading into Paradise Point just on Oxley Drive would be absolutely magnificent. Keeping in mind that Oxley Drive, where this extension would go up, has an enormous median the entire way. So traffic impacts during construction would be minimal, yet it would be connecting a tremendous number of residents. Further on from Sunbird Avenue, as you approach the bridges that lead into and over Jabiru Island, you could delete half the car parks there and put in a tram stop. And you know what? As part of the package, let's also double the number of bridges so that it's 2 lanes in each direction in both sides. I mean, look at this on the map. The road network has already been built to be ready for this development. Finally, as we make it over the bridges, we are at Broadwater Avenue, where there is a dense supply of apartments. Finishing finally over there in Grant Avenue, plenty of people would use the public transport, probably stop driving their cars as much, which might negate the need for a second couple of bridges at Jabiru Island. But the point of increasing public transport isn't to force people out of their cars, it's to increase mode choice. And if we doubled the amount of lanes that go into and out of Jabiru Island and extended a tram line from Harbour Town, I am confident that Hope Island would be one of the ways that we could increase housing supply efficiently. So if it was up to me, item 2 on that wish list, I would love to extend from the extension of Harbour Town right the way through to Grant Avenue in Hope Island, take probably more cars off the roads. Here we are at item 3, and I'm about to reveal my plan for how we should handle the airport. Drum roll, please. Item 3 on the Jordan Bishop fixing the Gold Coast public transport wish list. Extend the heavy rail to the Gold Coast airport. Just quickly on a political thing, it was only recently that they cancelled stage 4 of the Gold Coast light rail all the way through to Coolangatta, stopping at the airport and connecting the Gold Coast airport into the rail infrastructure of the Gold Coast. But I don't think that was the right plan. I'm not saying I'm glad they cancelled it, but I'm saying I can understand why they did. If I'm not mistaken, there is not a single airport in this country that is connected via light rail, because light rail's probably not designed to take hundreds of passengers like 15 kilometres. That is usually the job of heavy rail. And piggybacking off of the Gold Coast Faster Rail project that is currently under construction, duplicating rail track between Currabee and Beenleigh, I think extending heavy rail to the airport would be an absolutely magnificent development to incorporate our beautiful airport into our everyday lifestyle at Gold Coast. The other political thing I want to say is I'm pretty sure, and this is just my opinion, it's not grounded in fact, I'm pretty sure that whoever operates and built the airport rail from Eagle Junction out to the Brisbane domestic and international airports has A, a monopoly on how they can sell the tickets, and B, I'm pretty sure the reason we don't have Gold Coast heavy rail is because we're not allowed to build heavy rail to the Gold Coast until that monopoly expires in 2036. You didn't hear it from me though. I'm just thinking out loud. Anyway, when it comes to Gold Coast heavy rail to the airport, the corridor is pretty much already secured. Extending south from the wonderfully teed up Varsity Lake Station, we can viaduct over the motorway and land at West Burleigh near the wastewater treatment plant, where our first of 4 stations will be. Staying on the western side of the motorway, we follow it straight down until we reach the Pines at Eleonora. Station 3, we go to Currumbin Waters around the Stewart Road area before either tunnelling or viaducting over or under the Hidden Valley Reserve. Once again, tunnelling underneath the airstrip, swinging it around until we are pretty much in the southeastern corner of the airstrip, right about where the Ridges Hotel is. I think heavy rail is the right move for the Gold Coast airport. I don't think it's sensible that we should bring tourists into the Gold Coast, or even residents, make them sit on the tram an hour and a half before they reach the Helensvale train station. And no, I don't think that's a job for buses either. Heavy rail is the way to go. Heavy rail to the Gold Coast airport for number 3. And finally, in the 4th spot, my number 4 in my wish list for how to fix Gold Coast public transport, we have light rail from Robina to the east at Miami High School. I mean, just follow this route. It makes a lot of sense to me. Start at the Robina train station, which already services the hospitals and Seabus Super Stadium. Pivot south down Robina Town Centre Drive and sort of follow it around until you actually stop for the Robina Town Centre. Robina Town Centre is owned by Queensland Investment Corporation, which technically is owned by the Queensland Government, so it makes sense. After you stop at Robina Town Centre, go underneath Robina Parkway and find yourself on Christine Avenue, where we head east down the middle of the median at Varsity Parade heading east. After going straight, we'll use Lake Street to make a north turn and then get back onto University Drive, where we will stop at Bond University officially. Then once again, we will go north to get out onto Cottesloe Drive, where we will follow it over, make one stop at Pizzey Park, where the Burleigh Bears play, and we rejoin the main line down in front of Miami High. My idea for why I think that's the most sensible light rail route. I don't believe we should have light rail going to the airport. It should be heavy rail. And I also believe that we shouldn't only have one light rail connection to the heavy rail all the way up at Helensvale. By taking a light rail extension out to Robina, we close the loop and give tourists and residents an opportunity to find themselves either wanting to go further north on the rail or finally making their journey east via light rail. Here's the thing about items 3 and 4 on the wish list. You can't have the heavy rail extension without the light rail connection, and you can't have the light rail connection without the heavy rail extension. You need to do both, and I am convinced that this will be announced at some point in the next 20 years. Watch this space. Now, is any of this feasible? Absolutely not. While I can see some of these ideas being tabled, Queensland's a pretty big place, and I have thousands of other thoughts that I could share, but the most important one is this. This is my idea of how I would like to fix it. I know there are certain things that people will say no to, but this is what I would do if I was in charge. What do you think? Tell me where I'm wrong, or tell me that you love it, and somebody go and hit up the Transport Minister and tell him to get things moving. It is my belief that to keep the Gold Coast the way the Gold Coast already is to keep the density where the density already is. Taking light rail from Robina, sending it down the bottom through Varsity Lakes, and then making its way directly out to Miami, that's where the density already is. I'm nearly convinced that there would be minimal rezoning. And you know what? That's probably why the business case wouldn't stack up for something like this. At the end of the day, what matters most is ridership. The Gold Coast Light Rail is an absolute slam dunk. People thought it would flop, but ridership continues to climb year over year, and making valuable, targeted extensions like Harbour Town is just yet another example of some good forward planning to increase the amenity of the Gold Coast. I love living here, and I think it could still be even better.